guys, just got a new album in the mail today.
Kingplex Entertainment proudly presents the debut album from the R&B funk group Mink Slide with sexy soul songs such as Satisfying, It's Time, Satisfying, Got That Feeling, Fantastical, Wish for Love, City Lights, My Desire, all these hits and much, much more. Get the debut album from the hottest R&B and funk group in modern times.
This is a fantastic album. Let me borrow.
No, my brother, you gotta get your own.
Get the debut album.
Yo, what's up, guys? I was trying to show the commercial, the Mink Slide commercial, but it was a little choppy. So let me try again. Hold on. That one was a little choppy, but I guess the file was too big. Let me play that again. Let me play another version of it so it's not so choppy. All right, hold on 1 second. I want to play the Mink Slide promo for those who haven't seen it. And you can go to YouTube and look up the Mink Slide promo so you can see it in full. But let me try playing it one more time. Let me try this file here. Let me see if this works better. Hold on. All right.
Well, hey guys, just got a new album in the mail today.
Which one it work?
I don't know.
Kingplex Entertainment proudly presents the debut album from the R&B funk group Mink Slide with sexy soul songs such as Satisfying, It's Time, Got That Feeling,
Whenever I think of us,
Fantastical, Wish for Love,
I gotta make a wish for love. I'm looking at the
City Lights,
city lights around me.
My Desire.
Ecstasy.
All these hits and much, much more. Get the debut album from the hottest R&B and funk group in modern times.
This is a fantastic album. Let me borrow.
No, my brother, you gotta get your own.
Get the debut album from the group Mink Slide, Egyptian Musk, available now on iTunes and Google Play. You can also get your physical copies at the Pitbull Grooming Booth at the Compton Swap Meet, also at the Whoop There It Is Weave Shop on Crenshaw and Florence. Also, you can get it at Pam's Pedicure and Paternity Test Salon on 87th and Vermont. MinkSlide.com.
All right, there we go. All right, am I still lagging a little bit? This thing is still kind of lagging. I'm live and I feel like I'm lagging a little bit. I feel like there's still a lag going on, and I don't know why. You dig? But all right, but we're gonna make it do what it do nonetheless. But I still feel like there's a little drag here with the live broadcast. I'm good. Am I good? No lag. I'm good. All right. All right. So yeah, man, you guys can get the pre-order for the Mink Slide album right now. Everybody in the room. I would like to see everybody go to Google Play. I know I got a lot of Google Play people here. Also go to iTunes. There's 10 tracks on the album. What's up, DJ Scrap Dirty? There's 10 tracks on the album. Nice funky stuff, man. Real funky R&B stuff. And you guys definitely got to get the album. Pre-order it now, because the official release date is going to be next Saturday. Well, actually next Friday. No, my bad. Not next Saturday. This coming Friday. That's the official release date, July 20th. That's the release date. All right? But you guys pre-order it now. Yeah, it's going to be on CDs too, but you guys got to pre-order the album now. The pre-order the pre-order is definitely there. The pre-order is there. Let me see if I can get you guys the links and put it up in here now. Somebody say it'll be a trip if the album go platinum. That would be a trip. That would be very interesting, because I didn't make the album. You know, I wanted to do well as far as sales, but really the album, I did it just so that we can have an authentic R&B album out here. There's several reasons. That's why I want to talk about music frequencies. Music frequencies are very important. Music frequencies are extremely important. We got to understand how the music we listen to, it has an effect on not only our minds, but our environment. And as we talked about in one of the earlier Hidden Colors movies, music, you know, when the Africans would utilize music, music was used as a healing mechanism. Like certain stringed instruments, they were used to heal people. Certain frequencies were used for certain ailments. We broke that down in Hidden Colors 1, as a matter of fact. And we got to understand how music can be a tool. We have to understand how music can be a weapon. We have to really understand how we should utilize, weaponize, take control over music. See, we create a lot of stuff, but we don't control it. It's very important. It's important that we not only control the music and control the frequencies. This album, for one thing, a lot of people talked about when they listened to some of the snippets of this album, it's feel-good music. And that's absolutely true. There's certain chords that we used. We used a lot of happy chords. We're my music people. You know, in music, there's happy chords and there's sad chords. We used a lot of happy chords in the music. That was very deliberate. It was very scientific how we were doing stuff. Yeah, Dr. Dre, he understands frequencies. DJ Quick understands frequencies. That's why when you listen to their stuff, like Dr. Dre, he's a billionaire now because he understands the frequencies of music. You understand? So we used a lot of happy chords in the music. And that's very important. My man Dame Funk, he understands music. I had my man Dame Funk, he played a lot on this album, by the way. But let's go back. We talked about how Africans would utilize music as a healing mechanism. We talk about during slavery, antebellum slavery, here, music and songs were used as codes. Let's even go back to Africa. The music was used, the frequencies were used to communicate. Them drums. You understand? This is why in the Caribbean, they didn't want Africans fucking with them drums. Because an African on one side of the island, he make a drum and he'll start communicating to somebody else way miles away on the other side, letting them know, hey, let's turn up at midnight. You understand? So the white supremacists, they started to understand that we were using music, using songs, using frequencies to send messages, to get on code with each other, to get on the same page. You understand? Yeah, that's the first Morse code. Them African drums. We knew how to be strategic with our music. We knew how to be strategic with our songs and the frequencies of our instruments. And the white supremacists started picking that up. This is why, let's take this instrument away. Let's put that there. You understand? So we just have to control that. We got to get back into control of it. Also, during slavery, people would use music, and especially gospel songs, they would send messages to each other through the songs. Steal away, steal away. Like steal away, like meaning, let's get the fuck out of here. You understand? Even dancing. We talk about the music, capoeira. Let's go down to Brazil. That capoeira, they would play those drums, going back to the drums and playing those stick instruments while they were dancing, but they were really practicing on whooping a white supremacist's ass. You understand? So they would dance and do all that, and then when somebody gave the signal, they jump up in the air and kick a motherfucker's head smooth off. Do y'all know how deadly capoeira is? That's why they don't really have capoeira competitions. And capoeira is African, it's not Brazilian. We talked about that before. Capoeira is an African martial art. Capoeira, you kill a motherfucker with capoeira. That's why they don't like really promoting it and talking about it like that. That African capoeira can kill some fucking body. You understand? It's designed to knock your head off. That's why when you see cats down there in Brazil and even in Africa, because they still practice it in Angola, you see those cats who do capoeira, they all ripped and buff. And it ain't from lifting weights. They ripped and buff from doing all those flips and twists and all that. That capoeira is no damn joke. You ordered? Okay, what's up? Say what's up, everybody? Everybody say something. All right, well, go. You say hi to everybody, and then what you ordered? California chicken. Okay, what's up? This is Mama Peanut. Okay, get these. What's up? Hold on. There you go. What's up, Mama Peanut? There you go.
I'm booking now.
All right, guys. There my boys. All right, there's Mama Peanut. But like I was saying, we would use that music. We would use that music to send those messages to one another. And then we've always done that. Going back into the Jim Crow era, people would use music to talk about how they felt. And whenever we did music that those in the dominant society wanted to gravitate to, which is all of our music, they took control of it. Now, the thing is, when we created jazz, the word jazz, do y'all know that the word jazz came from jackass music? They used to call black people jackasses. And jazz was, when it was created, that's nigga music. Those jackasses making all that noise. You understand? Brothers out here created a whole new music form, that jazz. Now, if you go to a jazz fest, 90% of the artists are white. You understand? Yes, a lot of folks don't know that. Jazz comes from jackass music. Same thing with rock and roll. Understand, when black people created rock and roll, that was nigga music. When Elvis started, they told him, don't do that nigga music. What are you doing that nigger music for? Understand. Shout out to POV Hilarious D. When Elvis started, research Elvis. They were saying that was nigger music. And he's nigger dancing because remember, Elvis was just imitating black folks. But see, when Elvis started to do it, they were like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Since he's white, it ain't that bad. Hold on. God damn it. Peanut! She ordered something that ain't on the thing. Yo! Come here. Come here. Come here. Hold on, man. Damn. Come here. Hold on. Something on Postmates ain't available. So, hold on. No. Hold on. All right. Go. Hurry up. All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Now, what was I saying? Now, I'm just all types of havoc around here. Oh, yeah. Well, I was talking about Elvis. Elvis, the rock and roll. And even then, the rock and roll music, that was coded music. Rock and roll, if you look at the early black rock and roll, they were using a lot of innuendo for sex. Even the term rock and roll means sex. That was an old term that black folks used to have sex. Hey, let's get in this bedroom and rock and roll. Like you're rocking and rolling in some pussy. So rock and roll, they would always use a lot of double entendres in the music. You understand? So they were like, oh, these old sexualized niggas, let's not do that nigger music. But then they started to see black people making money on the chitlin circuit with that music. And they said, well, hold on. Let us get control of it. So then they started to get all these rock and roll, these black singers and, sign them to these bullshit contract deals. And then they started to get white artists slowly changing the face of rock and roll. So when you think of rock and roll now, all you think of white artists right now. You understand? But if you listen to the black artist and the cover artist, the Pat Boones and all these people who would cover the songs still did not have the same frequency. Do you understand? The songs didn't have the same frequencies when they would do covers of it. It didn't have the melanin. You got it? No. Melanin gives off a frequency. I want y'all to feel that. Melanin gives off a frequency. You can feel the melanin in something. Some people say the soul. That ain't got no soul. It's like that Taylor Swift when she tried to do an Earth, Wind, and Fire remix. It ain't in here, anime. It ain't there. No. You're saying the words, you're playing the instruments, but you don't have the soul of it. You understand? It didn't have that melanin. That's what you're really trying to say. It just didn't have that melanin. You can feel the melanin in something. Melanin is a frequency. Let's go back again. Even before that, go back to Beethoven in Hidden Colors 1. We talked about Beethoven, who was black. Beethoven was considered a Moor. He was a mulatto. If you look at the contemporary descriptions of Beethoven, they kept talking about how dark he was, how he looked like a mulatto. His nickname was the Black Spaniard. They kept giving these non-white references to the great composer Beethoven. And as our brother Phil Valentine said, Beethoven had that inner ear melanin where he started to go deaf. Thovin Bay, exactly. But Beethoven started to go deaf. He started to go deaf, but he could still play. He could even play better while he was deaf because of those melanin frequencies. He still had the frequency of the music. You understand? But going back, moving forward, let's go to the 60s, the late 60s. Let's go back before that. Let's go back to blues. When black people were going through the Jim Crow era, the era of lynchings and things like that, and black people didn't know what to do, the music reflected that frequency. That's where the blues came in. All right, black people had the blues. We were dealing with white supremacy on a very open and overt level. So black folks had the blues, especially in the South. That's where the blues came from, down there in the South. And you talked about, oh, I'm tired. It was a slow drag. I got the blues. It's a reflection, the Delta blues, right there when the hardcore Jim Crow was happening. So that was the mindset of the people. Now, when we go to the 60s, let's go right after the Civil Rights Movement, the energy is different. The music frequency changed because now the frequency is James Brown. I'm black and I'm proud. Now the frequency is different. Now it's looking at ourselves in an empowering way. The late 60s, early 70s, look at some of the music that was out then. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? You understand? The music was a little more uplifting. The frequency was higher. We had a better frequency, the big Payback, stuff like that. And around that time, black folks, especially in the early 70s, late 60s, right after, I would say right after when the civil rights movement is phasing out, you know, Gil Scott-Heron, the Watts poets, you understand? Black folks weren't to be fucked with back then. You notice around the late 60s, early 70s, black people were on that rah-rah shit. Heavy. Curtis Mayfield. The frequency was extremely different. And throughout the 70s, we carried on that somewhat militant hardcore frequency. And hip hop adopted it when they brought over those break beats, when Kool Herc brought over the break beats and they just started mixing those James Brown break beats of records. That was a certain frequency. This is the bare knuckles music. It's back to the drums. Because that's what hip hop really started at. Hip hop was basically them playing the breaks, playing break beats, which were those African drums again. We're going right back to the drums. So now we're getting back into that warrior spirit. We're getting back into that warrior mindset. We're getting back to the essence. That's what hip hop is. When we look at hip hop, we got to understand hip hop, and I always talk about the different elements of hip hop. You know, it's the b-boy and rapping, breaking, DJing, graffiti, but there was always a consciousness in hip hop. There was always an anti-racism element in hip hop from the very beginning. Because that's why hip hop was created. Hip hop was created as an anti-establishment mechanism. Understand, in the Bronx, New York, they were decimating the black people there with white supremacy. Over there in the Bronx, it was dilapidated housing, no jobs, bad education. Those white landlords burning down buildings, getting the insurance money. So it looked like hell there. So the people took control of the music frequencies and said, okay, we're going to create something called hip hop that puts us in a zone where we need to be. You understand? We're going to create something from absolutely nothing. And not only is this nothing, we're in filth right now. Y'all got us in dilapidated filth, and we're going to create something that we feel is constructive, even on a temporary level, something that we feel is constructive to get us on the right mental frequency. Got it? So we're talking about those frequencies, the music frequencies. Real deep. This is real heavy stuff. Music is very important. And then in the 70s, we had a lot of gangs popping up. These were warriors. We had that warrior thing popping up all over the place. We have that warrior spirit. Unfortunately, a lot of the warrior spirit, we started turning on each other. You understand? But we still have that warrior spirit. But later on in the 70s, you had people like the OJs and all. You had some of these R&B groups that had a frequency of music that made you want to come together. They would have these big superfests, the Budweiser Superfest, all these superfests where you had these black artists, these black groups singing Family Reunion and the Spinners and I'll Be Around. All these songs had a certain frequency. So when you heard some of this music, that made you put the bullshit away. You heard some of the music and that got you in the right mindset. You understand? A lot of that music got you in a mindset where you want to put the bullshit away. The frequency, that Gamble and Huff frequency, they had a real fly frequency. The Isley Brothers, that Isley Brothers, that was another frequency that they had. The way they played the chords and the music. Ronald Isley said that people come up to him all the time talking about how many babies they made to their music because they gave that intimate frequency in the Isley Brothers music. Understand, when you put on an Isley Brothers record, that means it's time to get it in with a lady. It's time to get down. That's a frequency. That their records have become synonymous with that intimate frequency. If you're listening to a slow-ass Isley Brother record, that'll make you want to sit your ass down and relax somewhere and find you a honey. Ladies will find you a dude. You understand? But even, let's go back to the Isley Brothers. Understand, in the early 70s, what was the Isley Brothers talking about? Because Isley Brothers, speaking of them, they're in the Guinness Book of World Records. They are the only group in history to have like top 10 singles for like 5 decades. The Isley Brothers, they've been making top 10 records, #1 records, since the 50s. I mean, they were doing this shit in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. So the Isley Brothers, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. But understand, in the early 70s, what was the Isley Brothers talking about? They were talking about Fight the Power. They had a hot song, Fight the Powers That Be. So that was a frequency they were putting out there that people were latching on to. You understand? So these frequencies are very important. There was this one guy, why does his name escape me right now? But this one white dude he would do lectures in the 70s and 80s. It was this white dude. He would talk about the Illuminati and these secret societies, and he ended up disappearing. Somebody in this chat room will remember this guy's name. Help me with this guy. I want to say John something. This white dude, he would, goddamn, it was John, I think it was John something, but he would do recordings and talk about these secret societies and talk about John Todd. Yes, John Todd. Yes. This guy named, not Jordan Maxwell, John Todd. I remember John Todd. I think he worked with the record industry because he would expose a lot of the secret societies. He was doing this since the 70s, but he just kind of disappeared. He talked about the music industry. When they would record records, in order to put a certain frequency on it, they would do rituals around the records. Some of the record companies, they would do rituals around the records. Also, check this out. In the 60s, they were talking about how record labels would try to do something with the frequency of records. How they would put coded messages on the vinyl records if you played the records backwards. Google the Beatles play record backwards. Yeah, backmasking, right. They would put these secret messages in records if you played the records backwards. It's real heavy stuff. Also, scientists and people in the record industry, they were doing things in records where they would put subliminal things in there where you couldn't hear them on certain frequencies, but it would hit you on a subconscious level. Google all this stuff I'm talking about. This shit is heavy. It's very heavy. How they would put certain frequencies in records that sometimes you couldn't overtly hear, but it would hit a certain frequency and would get you in a certain mood. Yeah, Bobby Hemmett talked about this. Yeah, this stuff has been around for a long time. Yeah, the 432 hertz. Yeah, the 432 hertz. But a lot of those, yeah, you look up this stuff. This is real stuff. Yeah, they would play records backwards and they would play devil music, devil worshiping music, heavy shit. Heavy stuff. But because they knew how important and how influential music was. Now understand, when you look at or listen to music from the 80s, and then let's go back a little bit more. Usually, music that we create has been co-opted by the dominant society. They've co-opted jazz. They co-opted country. They can't quite co-opt gospel because we still rock with that. Notice music genres that we hold on to, that we relish, that we cherish. And gospel is always, that's a tradition in black society that's reinforced every Sunday. So they can't come in there and rock with that. We're on that too much, especially the old time gospel. We sing the old time gospel every Sunday, so they can't touch that. But a lot of music that we kind of shy away from, like jazz, black people kind of left jazz there. The minute we start leaving something there, they grab that. They grab it and take hold of it. And let's go back. The reason why we didn't get that many jazz artists, that started to wane after the 1970s because of the way schooling was, the way music programs were. They started to defund a lot of black schools, so you didn't have the same music programs. Black folks weren't getting those instruments like they used to, and you had drum machines. See, when we start getting into the 80s, you can do things you could simplify the instruments. You can get a sampler, stuff like that. So that kind of changed the way people played music. You didn't have to learn music anymore. Whereas jazz artists back in the day, cats would scrape up money to get a trumpet, and if you sacrifice the money to get a horn or something like that, you made sure you're going to play that shit to your greatest potential. You understand? So we started to back away from that a little bit, and the minute we do that, other folks grab onto it. Same with rock and roll. With rock and roll, cats didn't get those guitars like that back in the day. You couldn't get those instruments. So other people started to grab onto it. You understand? Now, the thing is, with 70s funk, like that James Brown, that hardcore 70s funk, the dominant society, they have not been able to emulate that 70s funk because black people in hip-hop, we took control of it through sampling. All right? We took back control of that through the sampling and the looping. So we would pay homage to that. It's very important for us to pay homage to these sound forms and to these music forms. You dig? Now, once we get into the 80s, understand in the 80s we had, especially in the early 80s, right before 1984, like right before 84 and after 89 and after, the music, there was a change. Before 1984, the early 80s, if you look at the music in the early 80s, it's very happy chords, happy frequencies. The chords were very happy. You had the Evelyn Champagne King, Kashif, D-Train, all these people. See, that's that 80s R&B. Now we get into the 80s R&B. Right after 1984, the vibe of the music changed. You know, hip-hop began to take more form. But even the vibe of R&B changed because of the drug epidemics. Yeah, Patrice Rushen in the early 80s, but right in the mid-80s, it kind of took a dive. The frequencies changed a little bit because of the crack thing, so the vibe was a little off. we got back into a good space late 80s, early 90s. Now, around the 80s, a lot of that 80s stuff that we used to rock, black people kind of abandoned that. We kind of walked away from that because, you know, we create new stuff. We got trap music now. We got all this other stuff. But that 80s music, every 20 years, you're supposed to kind of go back and get the music and take a hold of it. You understand? You're supposed to kind of pay homage to the genres we created. The fact that we haven't done that, people in the dominant society are starting to do that. Like the Justin Timberlakes. Their stuff is sounding like that 80s vibe. Sam, whatever, the gay white dude from the UK, who can sing, he's a very good singer, but his stuff has that 80s vibe. You have groups like Tuxedo, white group. Their shit is rocking. It's banging. It's that 80s vibe. Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars got that 80s genre. And they're starting to take control of that, which is that real R&B shit. Sam Smith, that's his name. Sam Smith. Another group, Chromeo. Their whole vibe, they got that 80s thing. These white dudes. White dudes and an Arab dude. That solar music sound. You understand? That Prince vibe. Yeah, they're getting that Prince sound, which defined the 80s. Prince and Michael, they helped define the 80s. Prince was big on frequencies. You understand? Prince was real big on music frequencies, the frequency of how music is. There's an album that Prince recorded. He recorded a whole album and said, you know what? I ain't putting this shit out. My vibe was off when I recorded this album. I forgot the name of the album. There was an album that Prince recorded in the 80s. And he said, hey, look, my vibe was off. You know, I was going through some shit when I was recording this record. The energy is off. Don't put that fucking album out. You dig? Is it the Black Album? Yeah, but Prince told him, no, I don't want you putting that album out. Do not put it out. Because he said it was too angry. He said the music was just a little bit too angry. Is it the Black Album? I want to say it was something else, but he didn't like the frequency of it. He was a true musician. Is it Chaos and Disaster album? Okay. Is it, because I want to say it was the Black Album, but it might not be the Black Album. It might be somebody said Chaos and Disaster album. It might be. And do y'all know Prince also had a song a couple of years ago. He had a song called Hidden Colors because he was a big fan of the Hidden Colors series. As a matter of fact, somebody showed, after Prince died, they showed photographs of his house at Paisley Park. And this was on the internet. I don't know why. It was on YouTube. But they took the video down. And he had copies of Hidden Colors in his house. But he was a fan of Hidden Colors, and he made a song. It was an instrumental song, and I put it up on my Twitter a few weeks ago. But Prince was real big on frequencies. What are they doing? That's why he was a true musician. Very, very woke. Very woke. But again, this is why it's important for us to take control of the music. Now, understand this. When black folks have certain music frequencies, there's certain things that we don't get down with. When the music now, the music that we have out now, the frequencies are off. Look at what we have. And this is why we take so much bullshit. We got moist mumble rap and moist mumble singing. That's the frequency, and that's not by accident. I'm not shitting on nobody because some of the stuff out here sounds good. Some of it sounds good. But let's just be real. The frequency of the music reflects our attitude and our vibe. This is why we take so much bullshit. It's low-level frequency. It's get high music. It's drug addict music. Moist, drug addict fucking music right now. You dig? There's a reason why they promote certain music. They know what they're doing. Music is very scientific. When you see music now, you see musicians now, niggas be jumping on stage in bras and thongs and tongue rings. That's a frequency that they're trying to promote. This is why people like Kendrick and J. Cole, they stand out because they're not on that same bullshit frequency. I heard some shit where some brothers was rapping and freestyling. It was horrible. And they were clearly high. And niggas rap about them. Smoking this Molly, drinking on this lean. What kind of frequency are you giving out? What kind of frequency is that? That frequency is real. This is why, and also a lot of music is done 100% on computers. That's another thing. A lot of the music now is done 100% on computers. You do them on FL Studios, Premiere. You do them on most of the records sound the same. They're just using the same computer programs for the music. So they're not really playing anything. They're just using the same computer sounds. That has a vibe. That has a frequency too. Instruments, when you see somebody live and they're playing live instruments, that has a certain energy. It gives you a certain vibe. That's why on our Mink Slide album, we use a lot of real instruments in the song. You going where? Okay. He just taking the boys for a walk. But on our album, Mink Slide album, we use a lot of real instruments. And Quick does that too. Quick uses a lot of real instruments. Dr. Dre uses a lot of real instruments. You understand? Because I wanted the music to have a certain vibe. Nipsey has a live band on tour, yeah. Yeah, a lot of the music now, and on the Mink Slide album, there's one song, but I did the basic beat on FL Studio, but everything else, we put live instruments on top of it. But I didn't want, because I got FL Studio, I got all that. They got some cool little sounds, but I wanted to capture that old school feel. So a lot of the drum beats I did were programmed, in the the MP 60 drum machine, and we played a lot of the instruments. It was real guitar, real bass, real keyboard, you dig, real horns. And like I said, the frequency now, cats talking about doing every type of drug imaginable, getting high, fucking hood rats, that gives a certain frequency. Go back to the early 90s. In the early 90s, what did you have? You had Poor Righteous Teachers. You had X-Clan. You had Brand Nubian. They were giving some real deep stuff. So you had revolutionary sounding people. And on top of that, you had NWA say, fuck the police. You understand? In the early 90s, you had the frequency was on some, we ain't gonna take the bullshit. The frequency was, you had Public Enemy. You understand? You had all this stuff at the same time. Remember, my old heads, all this stuff was popping at the same time. So this is why when one black person got their ass whooped on camera, what happened? All that, forget about black folks getting the shit beat out of them and killed every single day, and we just, oh shit, we got to film this. One brother got his ass whooped on camera, burned the whole fucking city down, nigga. You dig? We're going to stop this right now. The energy was completely different with the people. We ain't taking this bullshit. We ain't taking this. Because we got that frequency. That frequency was real. You understand? This is one of the reasons why they made it a point to take control of the music. Right around that same time, the early 90s, there were these congressional hearings and all this stuff talking about censorship and all this bullshit because of explicit lyrics. That didn't have anything to do with explicit lyrics. That wasn't it. You had, at this time, you had a lot of black entrepreneurs putting out records on their own, putting out whatever messages they wanted to put out, and these records were selling. And the record labels was like, okay, we gotta get these guys or co-opt them so we can make money, but now we gotta change the frequency that's out here. The Ghetto Boys, Willie D and Scarface, they were talking real shit. Understand, Ghetto Boys' early album, they were talking some real shit. With Jay Prince and all, even Jay Prince was on the record talking that real shit. And these were independent record labels. So this is why they had to send mammies like C. Dolores Tucker, who was a civil rights mammy. Let's just keep it real. For some of y'all might be too young to know who C. Dolores Tucker is. She was a Democrat. She was one of them civil rights mammies that was it was a white Republican. She was in cahoots with William Bennett, I think that's his name, where their whole thing was attacking rappers so they can fleece money out of Time Warner. But C. Dolores Tucker, she was one of those, that same John Lewis shit. She would be on some, yeah, these are the same shoes I wore when I marched with Dr. King. She would talk all that old goofy civil rights bullshit too. But who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? Hold on, there's people fixing my house. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Yeah, you had Ice-T with the Cop Killer song. So what they were trying to do, they were trying to censor brothers and sisters in the rap game. They were trying to censor them. And I know Tupac dissed C. Dolores Tucker too. Yeah, she hated Tupac. But they had to co-opt the game so they could change the frequency of the music. They wanted to change the frequency of the music. And they did. They were very successful at doing it. For those who don't know, there was a very infamous meeting that many people talk about, that I heard about back in the 90s, where the record labels got together and had a meeting. And I heard about the meeting years ago. I heard about it when it happened. And people talk about this legendary meeting where they said, we're going to have to get together and do something about this rap thing. All the labels got together and had this infamous meeting out here in LA. And there's different stories about what was said. Some people say they were trying to destroy rap, hip hop. They're going to control it. They're going to co-opt it. But there was definitely a meeting about the rap problem. You dig? Yeah, they were extorting those record companies back then. But understand, these people were selling a lot of records, and they were fighting, and this is the early 90s, where brothers were fighting to get their message out. And the record companies, for the most part, a lot of them had to play ball because these dudes could go independent and still sell the same amount of records. They can go find an independent distributor and sell all those units. Especially when SoundScan popped up in 1991. When SoundScan popped up in 1991, the minute they started using SoundScan, meaning that you had to get your records scanned in order to find out how many records you're selling. And then it went into a national database to tally up the number of sales. The minute they started doing that, they found out that hip hop was outselling everything. NWA's album, Niggas for Life, shot up to the top of the charts. The first week it was out, they were like, oh shit, these niggas are selling these many records. So then they started to fuse a lot of R&B out. See, this is where the R&B started to kind of tumble down a little bit. But SoundScan changed the game. Because that showed you with definitive proof how many records these rap artists were selling out here. And they were selling way more records than people assume. Because understand, before SoundScan, these white-owned record stores would, the record companies would call, or Billboard or whoever would call the record store and ask them how many records were sold. And a lot of these record store owners were on the payroll of major labels. So the major label would say, hey, tell them that Bon Jovi sold the most. So the record store owner would call up Billboard and lie so that Bon Jovi would get a better chart position. And I'm just using Bon Jovi as a, as an example. Maybe that happened with them or not. But it was dependent upon record store owners to tell you who sold records or not. So if they're lying for the record company, these white store owners, they're not going to tell you that the 2 Live Crew just sold 2,000 copies. They're going to downplay that, but pocket the money. But they're still going to downplay it. So with SoundScan, that just alleviated all that. Because understand, there's a lot of records being sold by hip-hop artists in the 80s that they weren't getting paid for because they were lied to. They were told that, well, man, you're putting your record out, but it ain't really selling that good. But everybody in the hood is bumping it. You dig? Everybody's bumping these records, but they're being told that the record ain't selling that good. You dig? But SoundScan changed all that. So then the record labels had to regroup. They're like, oh, damn. These dudes are out here really, really doing it. So we're going to have to really get up in here and do something about this rap problem because these dudes can get real powerful doing what they're doing. Then you have the Master P's, the Jay Princes, Luther Campbell, Eazy-E, all these people, young street dudes, getting into the record industry and selling crazy units. So they weren't going to let that happen too long, them on their own. And understand with, in the early 90s, you had people like Public Enemy. They would have Farrakhan on their records or samples of Farrakhan. Ice Cube would have Khalid Muhammad on the record. So now you're giving people a certain mentality. Up in the Bay, you had cats like Paris. You dig? You had some sisters called the Conscious Sisters. Even on an underground level, people were making moves. So that's something that they had to get control over. They had to get the frequencies right. And once they got control of it, they utilized the payola and radio. They utilized the media that they own to promote certain artists and tell you, this is the dude that's hot. This guy is hot. This guy is hot. This guy is hot. You understand? And then they got into that rigid formatting of radio. Remember, back in the 70s and early 80s, if you listened to R&B radio, and that's when you still had R&B radio, you didn't hear the same 3 songs on the record all day, every hour. You just didn't. They would play certain hot records over and over again, but you just didn't have like the same 10 records over and over again. You just didn't have that. Also, back in the 70s and 80s, people could call up and request a song and they'd play it. Like, hey man, I want to hear I want to hear Keith Sweat. And they'll play, all right, with Keith Sweat coming up right here on WBLS. You dig? You're learning a lot. Yeah, this is real talk. So yeah, you could request the song and they play it. But now Nigga, you hear the same 10 songs back to back. I remember I went somewhere, I heard one song, I went to a meeting, I think I went to my accountant's office, and I was only there for 30 minutes. I got back in the car, that same song was playing. They played the shit again, and 30 minutes later, they call that rigid formatting. We're just going to drive, we're going to keep playing the shit over and over again and make you like this song. You dig? We're going to make you like this song, and that's the thing. A lot of times a song can be garbage, but if you hear it over and over again, it starts sticking in your head. You find yourself singing a bullshit-ass song, sometimes you sitting around and you find yourself humming a song. What the fuck am I humming this bullshit for? Because you done heard it 10 times a day. You done heard it over and over and over again. That's programming you. They're programming your mind. You dig? That's how that, real talk POV. That's how that mumble rap got hot. If you just keep playing this shit over and over again, you understand? So this is why it's important that, we do our own programming. We listen to stuff, because it's hard. I don't really listen to radio like that. It's hard because I just don't want to hear the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. You dig? But this is why we got to get back to that hip-hop mentality where we play some shit and we make it hot outside of the normal programming mechanisms. Because remember, in the 80s and 90s, NWA, their stuff wasn't played on the radio, but it was just a word of mouth. They played on the streets. They would make it hot. The people would make it hot. So that's why it became... The industry was forced to deal with NWA. If they could have avoided it, they would. But they saw that Easy and those dudes were going to make all that money without them. That's the thing. The white supremacists are going to play ball, even if they don't like anything. They're going to have to control it because they don't want black folks using something without them that they cannot control. So when they saw that, okay, Easy, NWA, okay, that's fine, but we just ain't gonna put it on our radio. We're not gonna put it on our television stations. And then when you look at the numbers, like, damn. Especially when SoundScan came out. When they saw SoundScan, wait a minute, we're not playing these niggas on the radio. We're not putting them out on TV. We're not promoting them. And they still just outsold everything we just put out? Shit. You dig? And that's why they had to start dealing with a lot of those cats up in the Bay. The Bay Area is full of hustlers. So these dudes started dealing with some of these independent distributors up there in the Bay. It was one called City something. What was that? It was an independent distributor up in the Bay. It was a couple of them, but it was one. I forgot the name of them. But a lot of Bay Area dudes were dealing with the independent record distributors up there, going around the major labels, and they would just get shit popping through word of mouth. All they needed was them to have the shit in the stores. That's it. Put them shit in the stores, and we got it. Too Short was selling thousands of mixtapes on the streets of the Bay. City Hall Records, real talk. City Hall, that's it. City Hall. City Hall Records up there in the Bay. You know, these Bay Area cats, they weren't getting no radio play, but these guys were hitting the ground so hard with their stuff, with their product, people were, the labels were forced to deal with these dudes. That's one thing. The white supremacists, they don't want to leave all that money on the table so the Negroes can get it. You dig? Yeah, somebody made a good point. LaFemme made a very good point. in the rock scene, they had that grunge music. You know, that underground basement grunge type of music. And a lot of those white grunge artists were committing suicide. So they quickly phased that grunge shit out. The Kurt Cobains and all these people. Because that was sending a certain frequency. When they send frequencies to their folks, and it has a negative effect, they cut that out. They phase that out. You dig? Also, let's go back to the 70s when you had some of these psychedelic white groups, some of these hippies. These hippies would have this psychedelic sound, and they were on some suicide, commit murder type of shit then. That Charles Manson shit. They phased that out. And then what happened with that, George Clinton came up, instead of psychedelic, they came up with funkadelic. It's going to be that crazy drug-infused, tripped-out music, but we're going to put some funk on it. We're going to get some people from James Brown Band. We're going to get Bootsy and some of these other dudes, and we're going to make our own thing. And that shit took off. You have the Doors, all that, Grateful Dead, all that old, that psychedelic-ass drug music that Charles Manson and these people were on, where they went up and started killing folks, that LSD music, yeah. You dig? But the music is very important, man. I'm telling you, we got to really take our music seriously. We got to take the music seriously and what's being heard and the energy that's in music. Yeah, that Marilyn Manson and all that stuff. Understand, that crazy Marilyn Manson type of music, that Ozzy Osbourne type of music. Understand, Marilyn Manson, there's people, these white dudes who are listening to some Marilyn Manson and went out and committed suicide, committed murder, listening to that Marilyn Manson. You dig? A lot of that stuff, remember, in the 70s, you had Kiss. There was a lot of that devil worshiping shit in the white music genres. You notice a lot of that shit was on some suicidal devil worship. They doing all types of crazy shit on stage. Alice Cooper biting animals and, just crazy ass bullshit. Biting birds, and so the white kids would watch that and they start freaking out. You did? So they were self-exploding back then because they couldn't step to brothers. We listening to Fight the Power and all that. So you couldn't step to us on that bullshit. You get an ass whooping. So you better go bite a bird or a chicken and don't bring your ass over here. Yeah, that heavy metal, that was on some other shit. Yes, those Columbine dudes. Yeah, that's why that heavy metal, they phased it out of the mainstream. They phased that heavy metal out of the mainstream. Yeah, heavy metal, they call it death metal. Real talk. But yeah, some of that so-called rock, that ain't rock, by the way. See, they take our shit and then put their own demonic ass spin to it. We weren't doing all that old crazy shit. The closest to rock and roll that we were somewhat doing, you had a brother named Screaming Jay Hawkins. He did a song called "I Got a Spell on You," but it was really, he was kind of on some voodoo shit, which was a hit song. He had a hot song in the 1950s that actually Biggie Small, they sampled that on the Ready to Die album. But all this shit where these crazy frequencies started coming in, and that's when the drugs came in. And let's go back. Let's go back some more. When the drugs came, those psychedelic drugs, we started, that created a whole different frequency too in the music. You had our brother, Jimi Hendrix, who was a musical genius. Jimi Hendrix was a musical genius. All those loud rock riffs, that came from Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was experimenting with the guitar and all that, but he was on that cycle, fucking with that LSD and that acid and all that. So that was giving him a certain frequency. And he ended up dying, because of the drugs and all that old shit. So we got to understand the frequencies that we're on. And yeah, the purple haze, which was some genius shit. Which was genius. But it created a certain frequency. It was reflective of the drug era at that time, which we shouldn't have been fucking with anyway. But they saw Jimi Hendrix utilizing these new frequencies, and the white supremacists was like, oh shit, that's what we want. We want some of that. That's why they got that, because black folks, we didn't really latch on to that rock like Hendrix was doing. It was like, you dig? It was a little bit too out there because it was new. That Jimi Hendrix was murdered, he could have been. He was out there fucking with them white women like that, he could have been. I ain't saying that he wasn't. I'm just saying. He could have been. You dig? But they took that. They took that sound and ran with it. You dig? Oh, my boy, Peter's out there with the boys. But now Ike Turner would play the electric guitar, but not like Hendrix. He wasn't playing like Hendrix was. You dig? And just speaking of the Beatles, the Beatles, they would get a lot of shit from Billy Preston, the black dude. They called him the fifth Beatle, Billy Preston. How many of y'all remember Billy Preston? Billy Preston, he had his own hit song in the 70s, Something from Nothing Means Nothing. And Billy Preston was gay than a motherfucker, too. A lot of folks don't know that. Billy Preston was gay as hell. What? I can't hear you. I can't. No. Hold on one second. Let me see what it's. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Wait a minute. Hold on here. I'll put it over here. Okay. All right. But yeah, Billy Preston, gay than a motherfucker. You dig? But they call him, he was the fifth Beatle. The black dude. Look that up. There's a file on Billy Preston? Damn, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. Billy Preston was gay as hell. Yeah, Billy Preston was gay than a motherfucker. There was he got charged for like trying to get a male prostitute or some shit before. A lot of folks don't know that. Was it he molested him? Yeah, I know he got charged for some shit. He actually got charged for something. For like trying to fuck a dude. Yeah, he's a badass keyboard player. Yeah, Billy Preston was a bad keyboard player. Yeah, Billy Preston was gay. Gay as hell. You dig? But it's very important that, the point is that we control the music so that we can put the right frequencies out there. So what's up, Mateo's my son up here looking in the door. What's up, Mateo? Sleepy as hell. And this is why when we did the Mink Slide album, we wanted to have certain feel-good frequencies in the music to get people in a right mindset. So when you hear the music, you have a refreshed feeling. You have a positive mindset. You understand? That was very important. One of my sons are trying to come in here. Yeah, Teddy's voice had that vibration. Hold on. Damn it. I'm going to try to call my gate. Hold on. Yeah, Sly Stone. He was a musical genius. Speaking of Sly Stone, speaking of that music, with Sly Stone, the first time they had somebody playing the bass while they're slapping the bass, it came from a band member in Sly Stone's band, Larry Graham. That thing where people are slapping the bass, playing the all that shit, when you playing the bass and slapping it, 100% that came from Larry Graham. It came from Larry Graham. When they talk about, when they talk about bass players, some of the best bass players in the industry, they start talking some shit about the dude from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea. And they start naming people like that. I'm like, if y'all don't get the fuck out of here, these people like Flea, they took them riffs directly from black bass players like Louis Johnson from the Brothers Johnson. These dudes would fuck up the bass. Louis Johnson was doing all that fly shit. Louis Johnson was a monster. Louis Johnson played on like the Thriller album. Most of those songs on Thriller, it was Louis Johnson playing the bass. He was playing that doom, 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 doom. The Billie Jean, that's Louis Johnson. Badass, brother. So y'all go in the house, guys. What the hell is that? My children are in the window like little zombies with sticks and shit. Yeah, Larry Graham is supposed to be Drake's uncle. Do y'all hear my kids throwing sticks at the window right now? Yeah, Louis Johnson, Thunder Thumbs. Yeah, Louis Johnson was with Quincy Jones. Yeah, Flea is a dude from Red Hot Chili Peppers who basically took those Louis Johnson riffs. Go in the house, Mateo. Oh, yeah, we're breaking the music game down. Yeah, but Larry Graham is supposed to be Drake's cousin or something like that. What's up, Mateo? Y'all need to go in. Where's Mommy? Okay, yo, come here, Mateo. Come here. Okay. What's up? You got to take your brothers now. Say what's up to everybody, Mateo. Say hi. Say hi. He's very tired. My son has not taken a nap. Mateo, say hi. Say hi. You got food? Oh, you ordered cheesecake back there? Okay. All right, guys, y'all got to go in. All right, y'all go in the house with moms. Go with mom. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, that Billie Jean line is hard. So Larry Graham is supposed to be Drake's uncle. Right. Larry Graham, bad. I saw Larry Graham in concert when I was a kid. I said, that nigga's the shit. Nile Rodgers, he's another one. That brother's incredible on that guitar. And that's a shout out to Pharrell. And I like that. I like when that's why it's important for people, the newer artists, to go back and get some of those cats from back in the day and bring them back. Because I know Pharrell does a lot of stuff with Nile Rodgers. Nile Rodgers puts that funk on it. I like how it was Snoop who brought Charlie Wilson back into the limelight. You dig? Charlie Wilson is incredible. The Gap Band, all that stuff, those feel-good records from the Gap Band. That's why our group, we have that same spirit. You dig? Yeah, Slash from Guns N' Roses, he's biracial. I think his mom is black. Yeah, I noticed that. remember when they started to phase R&B as we know it out. And what was happening in the 90s, let's go to the 90s, the mid 90s, right around 96. Because remember, R&B, you know, R&B had a hip hop thing to it. R&B was basically started like Mary J. Blige. It was basically you're rapping or you're singing over hip hop beats. Because hip hop took over so much, and they show how many records were being sold. Even though the slow jams would still fly, the up tempo R&B joints, they would basically sing over hip hop tracks. Like Mary J. Blige album, her first album, What's the 411, which was a great album. She's basically singing over a bunch of hip hop beats. That's all she's doing, and they doing the New Jack Swing, which is basically a swing tempo of a lot of hip hop records, which is genius, but it's just singing over hip hop. You know, you had Jodeci, you know, they were singing over hip hop tracks. The group Today, they were kind of singing over hip hop tracks. Once we get to the mid 90s, around 96, then you have the neo soul movement. They're getting that soul funk back. And that lasted for a quick minute. They didn't let it get too mainstream. There's a few people who broke out mainstream. You had Maxwell. That first Maxwell album was the shit. Had that neo soul. Then you had Erykah Badu. That was the shit. You understand? But, you know, they wanted to kind of keep it in that hip hop frequency. They kind of wanted to keep everything in that hip hop frequency. Groove Theory, Janae, they were the shit. The Jill Scotts, yeah. D'Angelo. And notice, those people that we just named, you know, Lauryn Hill did hip hop, but then she came out with the killer R&B to balance that. So you notice those people from that era, around 96, 7, 8, those neo soul artists, their shit still is hot now. Notice there's a longevity in that. Not the ones who did the trendy thing where they just rapped or sang over hip hop tracks. The people who did like the real soul, funk, R&B, they're still popping now. Even if their records aren't selling, they can still do a concert somewhere, and that should be packed. People will still go see Erykah Badu. People will still go see Jill Scott. People will still go see Mint Condition. You dig? And right after that era, starting in the 2000s, it became what happened. They started to go back to the singing over hip hop tracks again. I call it the Disney Channel R&B. They started to get, you know, the Cheetah Girls, the 3LWs, and I'm not shitting on them. I'm not shitting on them at all because some of their songs were cute, but you know that's them. You know, they're putting out certain things. They're telling you what's hot, and they started getting these little, you know, there wasn't any soul. It was like a pop R&B type of thing that started happening in the early 2000s. You understand? So you didn't really have anybody singing. You know, you had the Ashantis, not like Ashanti, but she was basically singing over hip hop tracks. You had Maya. Who else you had? I'm talking about some of the female artists. Usher, he was the shit. Usher is, you know, he's always had his own lane. I did like go-go music. Chuck Brown, I love go-go music. Yeah, and then around that same time, the late 80s, well, the late 90s, early 2000s, this is when we started to see the NSYNCs and all these dudes really trying to get that old 80s New Edition swag. You understand? They were basically trying to get that swag of the New Edition. It was getting those boy bands, which the New Edition, they had New Kids on the Block, who was basically a white knockoff of the New Edition. So they were trying to get another New Kids on the Block, which was basically another New Edition. You understand? So, so that's when they, right around that time, they started to slowly vulture in some of that 80s vibe. They started vulturing in that. They started to take little bites out of it. You understand? And then they had the Britney Spears and all. They started really promoting these people. And, you know, they were starting to do cover songs. And this is another thing. To get that same frequency of the 80s music, remember, they would get Full Force to produce these cats. I think Full Force produced some of Britney Spears. And Full Force, that was a black group from the 80s. Full Force was a black group who was hot in the 80s. So they would get Full Force to produce, I think, the Backstreet Boys. I know they produced Britney. Britney even did a cover song of My Prerogative by Bobby Brown, getting that early 90s flavor. You dig? So that was the thing. They started to try to get white artists who had that black R&B feel. This is when they start, like Pink, people like Pink and Christina Aguilera and all these folks. And remember, these were Disney Channel people. Again, it goes back into that Disney thing. They were plucking these people out of the Disney machine. Got it? So again, these people, they plot, man. They plot. They plot for the long haul. So this is why, again, it's important for us to take control of the music genres. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing the Mink Slide album, because with the Mink Slide album, I can see they're really trying to co-opt that 80s and early 90s sound. They're really trying to co-opt that. And the thing is, if we allow it, when we start thinking of that music, it'll have a completely white face on it. Just like jazz. Jazz has a white face on it. Rock has a white face on it. And truth be told, rap is starting to have a white face on it, if we're going to be very honest. Rap music itself is starting to have a white face on it. You dig? Yeah, all these people were on that Mickey Mouse Club stuff. Yeah, Jay Dilla was that dude. Jay Dilla was that dude. But now, when you got R&B, who you got? Post Malone? Okay. All right. Now, I know I sound like I'm beating up on Post Malone, but shit. You dig? So we getting that back. Yeah, we're gonna get that back. That's why I can't wait for you guys to get the Mink Slide Egyptian Musk album. Very fun album. You guys should have your pre-orders now. It's a very fun, happy album, sexy album. It's 10 cuts on there. All of the songs can be singles. We didn't put no fillers on the album. We didn't put no fillers. Sometimes with albums, you have a hot-ass album. Well, you have like one or two singles, and it's some shit they just literally threw on there. And we didn't have that. All of the joints on the Mink Slide Egyptian Musk album can be singles. You did? Yeah, Terrence Martin, very talented brother. I think Terrence Martin I think he's on tour with Herbie Hancock. He's a brother from out here. Very talented brother. Very talented brother. Oh yeah, that dark-skinned sister from the Egyptian Musk commercial. Yeah, a lot of folks are feeling that sister. That was Kim Ma. She's on my Egyptian Musk commercial promo that we played earlier. That's a badass sister. That is a badass sister. Chocolate as hell. That sister's just double dipped in melanin. Very chocolate, sexy ass sister. I knew the cats would be feeling her. That sister's just dipped all up in melanin. And she's from she's actually from Africa. She's from Liberia. Yeah, cats are really feeling her. She's fine. She's even finer in person. Oh yeah, she's bad. Yes, indeed. Is she single? I don't know. I'm like, I didn't ask. We're here shooting a commercial, so I wasn't all in her personal business like that. You dig? Man. Robert Glasper. Hold on. What is this? Firework content. Hold on one second, guys. I don't know what this is. For now. Y'all bear with me. Black and the Bear, Sweet of the Juice, hilarious. I gotta watch Power. I haven't seen Power yet. Let me find this video I want to show you guys. If my thing stop acting up over here. But you guys need to go. If you don't have the Mink Slide album, or you haven't pre-ordered, you guys need to go. Let me get a sip of water. You need to go to iTunes or the Google Play Store. Go to iTunes or the Google Play Store right now, ladies and gentlemen, and pre-order it. The new video from the Mink Slide album, it's going to be out possibly this Wednesday. We're going to put it out this Wednesday. There's a case. Let me talk about some of the things that's been going on with the system of white supremacy. There's a black man in Philadelphia. He was being harassed. He was delivering something on his bike, and there was some white supremacists who were on the side of the road or whatever. They started harassing this brother, and they, stepped to him, and he defended himself, and he got a knife and killed one of the white supremacists, and they then charged the brother with murder. That's very unfortunate. I want to find some information on that brother and, see if we can possibly help that brother. I will keep you guys posted on that. But what we're going to have to start doing, we got to understand that some of these white supremacists, they've been deputized. These white supremacists, they've been deputized, and they're turning a blind eye to them harassing us. But the minute we defend ourselves, all of a sudden we get charges thrown at us. So we're going to have a little fund or some funding already on deck for some of these brothers and sisters getting caught up out here. You understand? We're going to have to be able to look out for our folks out here. And that's very unfortunate because we see every day these white supremacists harassing black people, making false police charges just every single day, and nothing is done about it. But when we want to step up and defend ourselves, then it's the bullshit. Let me play a couple of videos for you guys of the Spirit of Ogun this week. Hold on. I should have had these things downloaded already, but I'm about to download them now. And while I'm doing that, okay, I can't use that. Hold on 1 second. While I'm doing that, you guys don't forget to go to 1804movie.com to get the film 1804 and the movie Hidden Colors, hiddencolorsfilm.com. And we're going to start the production on Hidden Colors 5 next month. I'm going to be traveling in a couple of weeks to get all that stuff knocked out. is my thing freezing? Y'all bear with me. Trying to download this video. Hold on 1 second. All right, let me play this video real quick. Hold on. I want to play a video. Hold on. Where am I? Okay, well, my computer's acting funny. Hold on. Hey, when everything is acting slow over here. Y'all bear with me for one damn second. All right, let me play this real quickly. Hopefully it ain't all choppy and stuff. But there was this suspected white supremacist on a bus. I don't know what city this was in. But the suspected white supremacist is a big guy, big old white dude. And the brother was kind of little. And that's probably why the white supremacists thought it was going to be an easy win. White supremacist talking greasy to the brother, and the brother said, "Why you call me a faggot?" So I don't know if the brother was gay or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that. But the brother unleashed the spirit of Ogun. You know, we do know that. And let me see if I can play the video for you guys. Hold on for a second. Okay, 1 second. Because my thing is acting a little funny here, but hold on. I'm going to find it. Hold on. 1 second. Hold on. All right, here it is. All right, let me see if I can play this for you guys. All right, check this out.
So how am I faggot?
I fucking eat those.
How am I faggot?
I fucking eat
How am I
those.
faggot? How we gonna do it off the bus? I ain't gonna beat your ass. Man, what? Man, what?
I'm sorry.
Man, what? What's up?
Are you getting, no, you getting off now?
Bus. He's a big old dude. Big old, look like he's been doing steroids, the white supremacist. Much bigger than the brother. Brother took the shirt off real quick. There it is. Boom.
Don't do that. Come on, man.
Hemmed him up. Boom. This little brother is boom. That ain't nothing but Ogun. Boom. We got a little bunny ruckus in the back. Boom.
Listen to me, baby.
Oh my God.
Baby, it ain't worth it.
Folding him up.
It ain't worth it. You don't want to go to jail, babe. Come on, don't do that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look at the blonde hair bunny ruckus in the back. Don't stop. Don't. Oh, Lord. Will y'all let brothers do work? Let brothers do work. And look, the lady might have been genuinely concerned. I don't want to shit on that system. A couple of things. Black folks, when shit is going down, black people, please stop fucking screaming in the background. Please, black folks, stop all that damn screaming. Black people be screaming for nothing when something go down. Ah! Oh, Lord! Ah! Ah! You just screaming for no fucking reason. What the fuck is that about? Screaming like a goddamn little tree monkey. What the fuck are you screaming about? Every fight video I see, some Negro in the back screaming. Cut that bullshit out. Just screaming for no damn reason. Shut the fuck up. Damn. Learn how to keep your damn mouth shut. Y'all trying to bring attention all over. Shut the fuck up with that screaming. Damn. Motherfucker, you ain't even in no part of the fight. Back there screaming like a damn fool. Like we're on a damn plantation and you sounding off the coon alarm. Shut up. And let people do work. You bringing more attention. You making the shit hot with all your damn screaming. Damn. Black people today cut that stupid shit out. This thing where you want to scream like a damn wild animal when some shit's going down. The fuck you screaming for? Let people do work. And all you bunny ruckuses out there, I don't want you to go to jail. I get that, you know, they might not want the brother to go to jail, but a lot of times it's on some let me save massa shit. You dig? Because when black folks are fighting, it ain't never, hey, y'all need to stop. Yo, somebody gonna go to jail, man. You don't see that. It's like, get that nigga. Beat her ass. You dig? Let the brothers do work. Let brothers work. Let brothers work. Let brothers work. My goodness. Let these white supremacists get what they deserve. That's what you do. That's how you handle them. That's how you handle them. Some other stuff going on in the news. I saw an article where they're talking about they're getting these anti-terrorism facilities are popping up all over the place. All right, don't be fooled by that. When they're talking about they're going to create these facilities to fight terrorism, the terrorists are you. That's who the terrorists are. They're talking about fighting you, black folks. Because they know eventually some shit is going to go down. They can't just keep murdering people with impunity. Deep down, they know some shit is going to go down, and they're trying to prepare themselves. So whenever you hear about some terrorism training camp or whatever, they're talking about you. They're talking about black citizens because they know sooner or later black people are going to rise up and it's just going to go down. You dig? And, you know, they're building these facilities all over the place. Now, in Chicago, you know, some shit was going down last night because a black man was shot. I think he was shot in the back by race soldiers and killed. He was a very loved guy. He was a known barber out there in that area. And they killed the brother in cold blood. And then I think they lied and said that he had a gun and he was reaching for his gun or whatever. But I think ain't Illinois a concealed carry state? You dig? So, you know, they did the regular lies. But what was interesting, you know, there was some crowds gathering. They were calling them protesters. And there was people out there fighting the damn police. The police thought they were going to go out there and punk everybody out. And the people were out there fighting the police back, punching their asses back. You understand? So, you know, shit is getting heavy. Shit is getting real heavy. You dig? But speaking of Chicago, there was another deputized white supremacist who thought that he would get on the subway. He was on the subway and he was walking around yelling nigger this and threatening people and talking about he's going to beat somebody's ass and talking greasy. And then a brother calmly took off his work shirt, put his glasses in his pocket, and folded him up too. Let me show y'all this clip. This happened in Chicago a couple of days ago. Let's look at this. All right. So, as we see, the white supremacists in the pink, talking greasy. All right. Brother in the white shirt, you see that? Calmly taking that shirt off. Now the white supremacist is stepping to assist him. And boom, right there. There it is. There it is. Holding him up. And that's what it is. Now, I want y'all to notice something in this video. I want y'all to notice something. Now, in this video, you notice when this white supremacist was going around all up in people's faces, talking greasy, talking slick, none of those white people around him did anything. I want y'all to notice that. And I'm going to play it one more time. But notice when that white supremacist was running around, talking crazy, getting in people's faces, running up on the sister, all the other white people around just kind of ignoring him. They know he's doing all this shit. they ignore him because they're all on code. Got it? You will see this in a lot of videos where a black person is being attacked or a black person is being harassed. The white people around them don't do shit. They just kind of stand around and ignore. The minute the brothers start putting in work, all of a sudden, wait. Oh, come on, buddy. All of a sudden, then they want to intervene. When the spirit of Ogun shows up, now everybody wants to be like, oh, let's not go too far now. No. You dig? And then you got the Negroes in the back screaming, wait, Lord Jesus, wait! Stop screaming. Cut all that bullshit out and let people do work. And I want y'all to understand, because the white supremacist in the pink shirt was stepping to a sister. Like, yeah, bitch. And he walked up on a sister. Nobody stopped him. Now, if you walk up on a white woman, oh, come on, buddy. Nobody stopped him. The only person who stopped him, it wasn't Zaddy who stopped that white supremacist and neutralized the threat. It was a brother. So y'all don't miss that. Let me play that again. Hold on. All right, notice everybody's standing around. He's all in folks' faces. People are frozen. They ain't just standing around. Look at the sister. Now he's about to run up on the sister in the white. Nobody's doing. They're standing around, moping around. Here we go. Bam. Now he's getting the Ogun is showing up. Now everybody here is screaming. There you go. Now everybody. Now people coming to get him. Now there we go. Now everybody's mobilized now. You dig? That looked like a coon running with the backpack. I don't know what he was running to. You see that? I saw that movie, Sorry to Bother You. It was kind of weird. I saw the movie today. Me and Mama Peanut went to see it. It was a little too weird for me. They were trying to get a little too deep. It was just, I saw it. There was some decent messages in there. Just a little too, they tried to get a little too deep, and then it just got all over the place. But yeah, Zaddy didn't help. You understand? Zaddy did not help at all. And with all that screaming, here they go with all that screaming. Looked like the train was the coon train that was going to show up. You dig? But yeah, he was trying to test the waters. Again, the white supremacists are always testing the waters because they want to go out to Chicago and really start regulating on the black people there. Because Chicago, the black people in Chicago, their name has been sullied, so they know anything that happens to black people in Chicago, nobody's going to care. There was a race soldier in Chicago driving up to some innocent people talking about, yeah, I'll kill you and all this old stuff. I mean, literally threatening people. So, you know, the white supremacists want to test the water so the deputized white supremacists can go in there and start attacking folks. So he wanted to test the waters to see what would happen, and the waters had a shark in it, and the shark took a chunk out of his ass. You dig? But shout out to that brother who neutralized a terrorist, because that's what that white supremacist was. He was a terrorist. You dig? Man. And some of the stuff I post on my Twitter, but you notice some of the stuff I don't post on Instagram. Instagram, they don't like you showing videos of white supremacists getting at work. Instagram, they like to, in Facebook too, they like to show black folks getting the shit kicked out of them every single day. They like to show black folks getting shot every day. But when you post videos of a white supremacist receiving the spirit of Ogun, they start, taking shit down. They start flagging your stuff. So a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, I can't put it up on the Instagram, but I put it up on my Twitter. You dig? Yeah. But see, we got to understand. We got to understand how, these facilities. And plus, these white supremacists, they've been training these white supremacist militia groups. They've been training. They've been getting ready. So what should we do? Black folks should be on code. You got to be your own warrior. Black folks got to be on code. Facebook running ads on YouTube. You dig? That's why this book right here. A lot of good game in this. This is the book called Avoid the Machines. We've been promoting this book on the show. Very good book. I'm gonna order bulk wholesales of these, and I think when we do the Mackish package, we're gonna put this book in the Mackish package once we get that together. But you guys need to order this book on a very good book, by the way. Order this book on Amazon. This is Avoid the Machines by Scotty Vasco. Order that on Amazon. Real good game. It's a fiction book, but real good book. Is it? Somebody said they ordered it and they still got it. So I don't know. I know it's a hot book right now. Real good book. That's the new version. This is like the new version of the spook that sat by the door. It's like a modern version of that. Real good game in this book. Yeah, a lot of younger people think Facebook is corny. That's why a lot of people are kind of backed up off Facebook. I don't really fuck with Facebook like that. Yeah, I don't really mess with Facebook like that because, they let too many trolls run amok, and I just don't like being censored like that. That's how they fuck up and lose their audience with all that damn censoring. You dig it? Facebook is basically Fedbook. Oh yeah, The Root. Yeah, they're finally going bankrupt. I heard Beyonce is trying to buy The Root. Beyonce's sister, save your money. Beyonce, Jay, don't waste your money on that bullshit. But The Root is going bankrupt. We've been on The Root's ass. We've been on The Root's ass. Heavy. That's why nobody takes them seriously now. We've been on their ass heavy, letting folks know how full of shit they are and the agenda that they really have. And it's starting to take effect. The Root is about to close their doors now. We've neutralized The Root. They're nothing but a tool of white supremacy and a tool of the Gay Lives Matter movement. The Root is absolutely useless to black people. And Univision and the company that owns them, they don't need them no more. They're about to dump them. They realize that The Root is useless at this point. When we got that Roots article popping, that was the nail in the coffin for them. Showing how much of a joke they are. And they deserve to fall off, being Negro minions of white supremacy. Now that the white supremacists see they don't really need them, they're like, okay, who wants to buy this? Who wants to get this yard sale we're about to have? Who wants to get some of these scraps? We shut that down. You dig? We made The Root a parody of itself. We made it a parody of itself. And that's what they get because they've been attacking black people doing real things out here heavy. Anything we try to do constructive, The Root is the main ones attacking it. The Root, they've never done anything or said anything positive about my movies. They've been attacking me for years for making the best-selling historical documentaries ever about black history. That's something that should be celebrated. And the white mommy and daddies who own that and run it, they got their Negro minions to try to sabotage it on every turn. You understand? It's an LGBT satellite. That's all it is. And we exposed it for what it is. Man. Yeah, Facebook, they admit that they share your information with law enforcement. So that's why a lot of black folks kind of backed up on Facebook. You dig? But, so The Root made that, because they might be making it up. Shout out to DeMario. Shout out to that brother. Shout out to Demario with the $100 Melanoid Nation donation. Shout out to that brother. What's up, Joshua Singleton? Hidden Colors 1 and 2 are, yes, they are classics. They are classics, and I can't wait to get started on Hidden Colors 5. We're going to get started on that soon. Oh, yeah, Zaddy ain't going to save the root. He's done. Zaddy's done with the root. The root is useless now. The root has become a joke within black society. The whole purpose of the root was to be so-called an authoritative voice in black society on behalf of the white supremacists. That was their whole job, is to sway opinion within black society and do what the white supremacists tell them to do. That was the root's whole purpose. When white Zaddy says, hey, let's sway them to vote for Hillary. Well, let's sway them to support gay rights. That's their job. And now we've shown how much of a joke they are. Nobody takes the root seriously. So Zaddy don't need them no more. Zaddy's showing them the door. You dig? What's up, Michael? Have I thought about retrying the Morris app? But it's dude, I threw tens of thousands of dollars of my own money. The little money, we raised like 80, 70, 80,000. That ran out real fucking quick. And just for the long, and still now, I'm eating up, because it's not, that thing ain't making a profit, because those East Indian developers, they fucked me pretty good on that one. They really, really got me on that one. I had to take an L on that one. And I'm still taking an L because I'm still paying for that bullshit. I took an L on that one. You dig? So it takes more money than I thought to really get a site like that up. It takes way more. That's why, I see all these people raising millions of dollars to get these sites launched. It takes a lot of money. You dig? So and that's another. I'm never dealing with them guys over there again. I'm telling you guys, the East Indian and the Pakistani developers run for the hills. Do not deal with them. Dude, they are finessing left and right. I'm telling you from experience. Do not deal with those Pakistani developers or those East Indian developers. Do not deal with them. Do not deal with them. You're better off with Chinese, the Japanese, you dig? Or some developers over here. No, Danny, I have not thought about doing another movie with them. No, absolutely not. For what? There was a couple of companies that I used over there. There was one company called Benfotech over there. And there's another one. I forgot I got to look the name up. But the garbage. If you ever see Benfotech from East India, run. Or Pakistan. I think they got a place over in Pakistan. Run. So Indian developers they're great. You just have to guide them through every step. Not the ones, dude, the ones I got were finessing, man. They were finessing their ass off. You think I want something now? I was going to get a game, a Haitian Revolution video game going. My dude who was supposed to build it, my dude just kind of slacked off. And that's another thing. Black people, we gotta be consistent. Like my dude who did Crispy's Biscuits. That's a brother from here. He did a great job with Crispy's Biscuits. He did a great job. Crispy's Biscuits is a fun game. My kids like Crispy's Biscuits. They love playing that. It's a fun game. People, that's why Crispy's Biscuits, it was like the #1 new app on Google Play for a long time. Yeah, it was like the #1 app on there. Worldwide. For a few weeks. And very fun game. It's silly as hell. You dig? But it was a brother. He developed it here. And then there was another Haitian Revolution game that we were working on that was actually looking tight. But my man just kind of dipped. And we got to be very consistent about stuff. We got to be very consistent. I'm listening to what I'm saying. I'm telling you from experience, man. Some of those East Indian developers, there might be some cool ones, but we just don't have the luxury to do trial and error with these cats, man. And many of them that I've dealt with are on some scam, finessing shit. In East India and Pakistan. Pakistan is worse than that. It's too many scam developers over there, man. There's way too many. So we don't have money to throw at these cats and maybe they'll come through and maybe they won't. You dig? Yeah, that's another thing. Most of the black developers that do have talent, they've been co-opted by the white companies. No, Upwork is not the business. I got scammed on Upwork too. I hired some developers from Pakistan on Upwork, and not only did they not do the project, I couldn't get my money back. Upwork is not on the up and up. No. Upwork, they let you finesse. They let people finesse you on Upwork. They allow you to get finessed on that site. Because I think their bank account must be overseas or something. Because you can't get your money back. Your package scam. So yeah, I can't keep throwing money at these folks on some trial and error shit. And that's the thing with us, man. We gotta kind of figure out who's good. This is why when you get a good developer or when you get a good editor, you stick with them. That's why when I do my movies, you know, I usually have one editor. Just like in the movie industry, you notice a lot of directors or producers, they'll have the same people working on all their movies. A lot of times they'll even have the same actors, like Martin Scorsese. You know, he uses De Niro, Joe Pesci. He will use them in a lot of movies. So he used the same people. Spike Lee, for example. Spike, he used the same sound guy, the same director of photography, the same audio guy. He would use the same people over and over again. When you get a good team, you stick with their ass. When you get a good team, that's priceless. You stick with them. Yeah, 99 Designs is good. Yeah, they're good. They don't let you scam on that. 99 Designs is actually good. They're hella expensive, though. That's the thing. 99 Designs is hella expensive. Yeah, Quentin Tarantino, he uses the same people. Yeah, when you get a good team of folks, you try to stick with them. Because you don't want to throw money out. Adam Sandler, he's another one. He uses the same people. You don't want to do the trial and error thing. You can't, people just can't afford to do that. You dig? You're a web designer, you ask people for their portfolio. Yeah, but you know, there's people who put up fake stats or whatever. But there's a lot of trial and error. You never know. Like, there was this one dude, we're going to have him do some promotions for our single, It's Time. This dude from BDS Nation. And I hired this guy to do some promotions. This guy, and he tried to get a lot of money out of us, but he had like different packages. This is a black dude from here, by the way. And, you know, I'm like, I don't want to get, you know, I don't know what kind of work you do. You know, I ain't got no track record with you, because he was trying to get like 10,000 and all this old shit. But he had like a one package deal for like 2,000. I said, okay, yeah, if I lose 2,000, I ain't tripping on that. So we'll give this guy a couple of grand to promote the single and kind of work it, you know, in certain avenues. You know, just for a week or so. That nigga got that money and didn't do shit. That nigga didn't do shit. That nigga got that money, pocketed it, and didn't do one goddamn thing. You dig? And if you look at reviews of his, they were positive. But the thing is, these were reviews that I think he put up himself. You understand? These were videos that he put up himself. So we got to understand, you got to be careful with new people you deal with. Because you'll lose a lot of money, and that fucks up your whole thing. That'll mess up your whole project, getting somebody who's finessing. It's hard enough to get a project off the ground when everybody's on board. When you're trying to get a project off the ground and you got niggas out here finessing, that just throws a wrench in everything. You dig? Man. Oh, that nigga ran off on the plug twice with that money. Oh, you were thinking about rocking with them, Jerry? Oh, run. Jerry, you were thinking about doing promotions with BDS? Run. Run. Do not do shit with them. Run. Yeah, they be putting up fake reviews. That's another thing. People be putting up fake reviews and all this stuff. Yeah, people are good at that, putting up fake reviews. You dig? But anyway, let me get out of here, man. Let me go see what's going on with the family. Look, go get HiddenColorsFilm.com. Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right? Everybody should have Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go to melanoidnation.org to get down with the melanin community. You dig? Contribute to the Melanoid Ministries so we can help solve these problems out here, and we'll be ready. Go to 1804movie.com. And most importantly, family, it's what, damn near 3,000 of you in here, all 3,000 of you. You need to go to iTunes, or you need to go to the Google Play Store right now. And you need to pre-order the Mink Slide album, Egyptian Musk, right now. We're going to bring that real R&B back. Everybody pre-order right now, ladies and gentlemen. Love you too, Angie. But if you love me, you go pre-order that album on iTunes and Google Play. Shout out to Mom, Michael Gardner. Get the album for Mom. You dig? But go to Google Play and iTunes right now, because I'm about to log off, so you guys can go right now. Just go to Google Play on your phone. Go to iTunes on your phone. Look up Egyptian Musk. Get that. And it's going to be on and popping. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Peace.